So, this is a video I have always wanted to make, but never had the time due to how much stuff was continuing to happen over in the Unbound world. But since we all got the news that Unbound has been tied to a piece of concrete and thrown into the sea by EA, I guess I have time to talk more about niche topics such as this one. I know a lot of you guys are not competitive and really either play single player or just chill on multiplayer. This video is still for everyone, for everyone. The first thing I want to say is that this is my experience, and in no way means that this will be or has been anyone else's experience. I personally know so many people that love the competitive scene to this day, and are actively planning on participating in the next one coming this summer most likely. I say that because Need for Speed Unbound League for some reason is always on the brink of never happening. I kid you guys not. Every single time that the league comes up, it is always up in the air of whether Unbound will be included, and I believe the way it is done for the first time and the second time were completely different, so that is always funny to see. The first time the Unbound League came around, I had gotten kicked off my competitive team before I could even sign up. We will get to that, don't even worry. The good thing is that I was able to compete in the second Unbound League tournament, but even then, the drama still came around. The second thing is, I definitely don't want to discourage anyone who is thinking about taking their racing to the next level. The competitive side of Need for Speed is pretty serious, and you have a lot of people from all around the world that really do this. They spend hours on the game and do nothing else but sleep, play Unbound, and eat. You'll be going against people who have thousands, yes plural, of hours on the game. So just because you could beat Timmy that's still in kindergarten and John that got off a 15-hour shift at McDonald's in PvP doesn't mean you're automatically going to be going in and smoking on the packs of other people who have grinded to be exactly where you ended up in the competitive scene. When I tell you guys that there are people who no-life this game, yes, I really mean it. They sit on the game all day and grind a single trap for a world record or play for 23 out of 24 hours of the day. I have seen streams on Twitch where they will be streaming the game before I go to bed, and then I'll still see them playing when I wake up for work. And then they will still be playing while I'm leaving after work. How do they do it? I don't know. Hitting traffic one time in a race is enough for me to want to commit war crimes and act like Omni-Man in season 1 of Invincible.
You want to die for this planet? Fine! What's 17 more years? I can always start again. Make another kid.
Anyway, this point in my life had to be one of the most drama-filled, unnecessary, and blatantly bad times regarding things concerning video games. Let's not get it twisted though. At no point did any of this stuff actually affect me in real life to the point I needed help or anything. This is a video game. But looking back at everything that went on, I think that a lot of things could have been avoided if I had just never decided to step foot into those type of waters. You had egos clashing 24/7 between teammates and opposing teams. I had people calling me out randomly for no reason. There was a bunch of gossip going on like we were still in the 7th grade. You guys think stuff is bad over in the regular Need for Speed community? Imagine the toxicity from there, but now you have added a competitive side to it. I kid you not, it was like ranked toxicity instead of regular toxicity. How is that even possible? There was one time where I was chilling in the Need for Speed League Discord and I got a ping that someone had added me for something. I click on the notification and I look and I got someone trying to challenge me and another guy to a race. I declined it, and then bro said he would pay me $1,000 to see the 1v1 happen. Like, bro, go pay your bills. Go feed the homeless? Why are you offering me $1,000 to race in a video game? I declined it again, and then one thing led to another, and we had people start dropping the hard R and calling me a monkey. All from the same team, by the way. That's the stuff I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. There is no regulation in that community. This is where a lot of deranged people come to meet. When it was all said and done, it turns out one of the guys had found a message on a YouTube video I had left a year ago, and he got mad at it and started what I just described to you guys. I kid you not. As with all communities, there are two sides, the good side and the bad side. I unfortunately was pretty much on the bad side for my entire competitive career. Y'all can't see it, but career is in extremely huge air quotes. When I tell you guys that the things that go down on that side of the community are ridiculous, I cannot make this up. I myself got into competitive after Need for Speed Heat was losing its steam, and Unbound was rumored to be releasing later that year in 2022, which turned out to be true. Things always look glamorous and colorful from the outside because your brain creates a false narrative inside your head of what it could be like versus what it actually is like. Kind of like when you develop a crush on someone. It's not the person, but the idea of the person that you have a crush on. Anyway, I was introduced to the competitive scene after Heat going into Unbound, and at first it seemed cool. Met a lot of interesting people and also met a lot of weirdos. Big emphasis on weirdos because a few of the people running around on that side of the tracks can be pretty rat-like. Some of them need to be arrested as well. Over the course of my time in the competitive scene, I've been on 3 teams. And when I tell you guys that the first time I joined, I didn't even last a full year, I am not making it up. First things first, I had to qualify and do a boot camp of sorts to prove I have the talent and drive to earn a spot on the team. These guys had me doing time trials and everything. And keep in mind, this was in the early stages of Unbound where nobody really knew what they were doing when it came to builds and microdrifting. This was so early in the game, the best car for B was the Subaru with off-road tires. I complete those, and after a period of waiting for no reason, I think they did it to build suspense, I finally got accepted. Bringing it back to the crush thing, this was the point where it became the honeymoon stage where everything is sunshine and rainbows and nothing can ever go wrong, you know? I played with the team, practiced with the team, you know, all those sorts of things. Day after day, I would hang with them and do things with them to either improve my skill or chemistry with them when racing, and every day we were doing that, the big event was approaching, and that was the Need for Speed League. A few of them were pretty cool, and even though I don't talk to any of my old teammates now, a few of them did have a lasting impact on me and how I view not just the competitive scene, but also how I conduct myself being in those sorts of groups. There was one guy, I believe he was one of the leaders of the team, and he always had encouraging words to say. Shout out to that guy. There was also another guy that I played with in Heat for a while who had helped me out to improve my skill. Unfortunately, we had a falling out pretty much directly after I left the team due to him having some ties and loyalty to one of the other leaders of the team, but shout out to him too. But as for everyone else, it was a mixture of having to deal with favoritism and disrespect that I couldn't stand for. The Need for Speed League by itself was pretty different in a good way, and the idea of having an event where teams could come together and compete was great on paper. The actual execution of this was something else. There are a lot of things that I feel should not have been allowed to happen that were allowed, and I feel like the overall vibe of things was a bit off. To this day, I still cannot figure out why I was feeling that way, but you know when you are participating in something and you just don't feel comfortable the entire time, that is what it feels like. How things were set up, the rules that were established, people that could get away with anything and still compete, all of those sorts of things really just turned me off to the whole competition. And if you guys don't really want to deal with the politics of a racing game, I would not recommend even entertaining the idea of competitive. There are a lot of things that I cannot 100% prove. But there were rumors of things being rigged and teams going against easy opponents to secure easy placements. We had people switching teams at the last minute to other winning teams. So much stuff, you guys, it was actually crazy. There was a clip system in place for instances where people would crash into each other, but the amount of times I have seen that system work in the actual person's favor, I could count on one hand. Now, we can't take away anything from the people who made the Need for Speed League. As said before, it honestly is cool how they came together to create something where teams all over the world could compete, especially since EA never wanted to give anyone the actual official platform to do something as great as that. It's really the people and the Need for Speed League that make it bad. But now we are starting to get into some troubled waters. The funny part was that we were doing all of this training, well I was, for the Need for Speed League, and I didn't even make it to the actual competition before being kicked off the team. No cap. Y'all know me. If I don't agree with something, I'm gonna speak on it. That's just who I am. But what I will say to the credit of the other party, I came off very strong when trying to make a point. I was so mad, I called the main dude, the main culprit, a rat in front of the entire team, and at that moment, it was hilarious. But it wasn't really called for, it was pretty unnecessary. This was the point in time where loyalties to different teams was starting to show, and in my opinion, if you are a part of one team, you really shouldn't be doing other things with other teams. Remember when I talked about favoritism? This was one of the instances, and honestly, it showed me a very important lesson that people will throw out any type of sense to be on the side of someone they have known longer. I mean, I can't really blame them because that's something a lot of us do on the daily, right? Especially when we have friends and family members. But it still wasn't the ideal thing to do. It kind of sucked that I wasn't going to be able to participate in the league, but at that point in time, I didn't even want to be a part of things going on with that team. There was also another guy that got kicked out of the team at the exact same time, and that will be important for what happens next. Now, this other guy and I, we have the idea of starting our own competitive team, and one by one we pick up members and things start to get established. Now, things were going great. Of course, there were people that were still starting things and talking behind our back, but it was relatively quiet since the league was pretty much over at this point. This team lasted for a few months until yet again, more drama started to unfold, and we had people claiming different things about information not being shared equally. People were talking about other teammates behind their back, and we even have a whole arc of another team trying to take players from our team. But the greatest thing that happened that I want you all to be aware of is the time when another team put one of their own members into our team under the disguise of that member wanting to join us. The entire time, that member was in our chats taking screenshots and sending them to their actual team. I kid you guys not. We had people sending spies onto our team chat to try and bring us down. These are the types of things that you will have to deal with when you go down the competitive path. Members were at each other's throats, and then just like that, a few members left the team and then decided to start their own team. I believe it was one day where I wasn't even on the game. I was playing Destiny 2, getting ready for the new DLC that was about to drop, and then I see people have left the team in the Discord. It was a straight blindside, and yet again there was something that had to be dealt with instead of just focusing on racing. Skip ahead a few sagas, and now we have our final team that is still going strong to this day. There has been so much drama that I have been a part of due to us being in the competitive scene that it is insane. There is one thing that I will have a whole other video about, and that is when I made the tier list for Need for Speed competitive players. That right there had the whole scene in an uproar. That's a whole nother video by itself. Remember how I said we had other teams trying to take our members and speaking bad about us? That never went away. And in fact, it got so bad that we had to have a Discord voice chat and sit down with their leader to try and hash things out. A few of you guys may have heard my name in the community even before I started making YouTube videos, and that was most likely the reason. To this day, I still don't know what I did to them, but it was funny. My name was everywhere in everybody's mouth, and it was hilarious. Then there was a time when there was some drama with another racing team, and if I'm going to be 100% honest with you all, I still don't know why it even happened. This is all leading up to the next Need for Speed League, by the way, which I actually managed to compete in this time. Our team made it to the playoffs 6-0, beating out a lot of great competition. But you guys think the drama is over? No. There was one match in particular where we went against a team, and in that match, we were down 0-2. This was the match I was racing in. Due to how the system works for the league, we were losing even though I was winning every playlist. Literally number one on the podium every time. In the Need for Speed League, you are allowed to swap team members in between playlists to give your team the best advantage. Keep in mind this goes for both teams, not just one. Anyway, we swap out my teammate for another guy, and then we start to win and we come back 2-2. It's a tie game now, so then we swap my teammate out again for a brand new guy. Now we just have one more tiebreaker race, and of course we win, and that makes it 3-2. That last race was hard for me though. I'm not gonna lie, I was lacking on it. My teammate did carry me. This whole thing ended up with us winning against the other team, but I kid you guys not, more drama followed due to us winning a race fairly. I go into one of their teammates' streams to say GG, and I see a text chain of one of the dudes I raced against complaining about how it's shady and we didn't deserve the win. Keep in mind, the only reason why they even got two on us in the first place was because my teammate wasn't feeling it when he was racing. They were losing to me the entire time. That's pretty much all the detail I'll get into, but for that, best believe to this day the same people are complaining, and we hear about it every week it seems like. And one thing I do want to say is, if you are really like that, it wouldn't have even mattered if we had swapped teammates because you would have won regardless. That is yet another thing I had to deal with. Just straight drama 24/7 in the league and in the competitive scene. And I recommend, if you don't want to deal with that, don't even get into it. As of now, I tend to stay to myself and root for the team without participating in the races. I'm all for giving support, and in fact, I had one dude tell me in my teammate's stream chat, y'all thought the drama was over? No, it wasn't. That I was being toxic for showing support to my own teammate instead of showing support to both teams. When I tell you guys that people are soft and easily offended in the competitive community, I kid you not. Being a part of something and being able to say I was a competitive racer is honestly not enough to warrant the continuous weird activity. It was a great experience, kind of, but I just would never want to do it again. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.